security footage from November 7th, 2024, captured everything. Maris Ellington, a 34-year-old lead trainer at Pacific Wonder Park in British Columbia, had just begun what should have been a routine morning training session. But what happened in those final moments would expose a pattern of negligence that the park had hidden for years, and the internal emails I'm about to reveal show that management knew exactly what was going to happen. They'd calculated the risk, decided Maris's life was worth less than their holiday revenue, and sent her to die. For 11 years, Maris believed she had formed an unbreakable bond with Poseidon, a massive 13,000-pound orca. But what she didn't know, what the park never told her, was that Poseidon had already killed before. This isn't just another tragic accident. What really happened that day has been systematically covered up by one of North America's most powerful entertainment corporations. And the documents we've obtained will change everything you think you know about marine mammal captivity. We've compiled exclusive evidence, witness testimonies, internal Pacific Wonder documents, and expert analysis that has never been shared publicly until now. Every detail of this investigation, from Maris's tragic final moments to the corporate cover-up that followed her death, is documented in this video. If you want to stay informed about stories like this that expose the truth behind industries that put profits over human lives, make sure to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for notifications. We're one of the few channels willing to investigate these dangerous cover-ups, and your support helps us continue bringing you these critical stories that mainstream media won't touch. Maris Ellington wasn't just another Pacific Wonder trainer. She was their star, the face of their marketing campaigns, the trainer they sent to conferences to defend captivity. Born in Vancouver, Maris had started as a competitive swimmer before shifting her focus to marine biology. She'd written her master's thesis on orca vocalizations, spending months recording wild pods off the Pacific coast. Ironically, her research on wild orcas had convinced her that captivity could be done ethically if the animals received proper enrichment. Maris genuinely believed she could make captivity better from the inside, recalls former colleague David Chun. She thought her scientific approach could improve these animals' lives. She documented everything, took meticulous notes on behavior patterns. If anyone could have spotted the warning signs, it was her. But Maris's scientific training had a blind spot. She believed data could overcome instinct, that understanding could replace freedom. Poseidon wasn't just another performing orca. He was a 23-foot, 13,000-pound killer whale with a documented history of human fatalities that Pacific Wonder had systematically concealed from both trainers and the public. Captured from Icelandic waters in 1995, Poseidon had spent nearly 3 decades in various marine parks, growing larger and more psychologically damaged with each passing year. His completely collapsed dorsal fin bent at a 90-degree angle, a deformity never seen in wild orcas. What the public didn't know was that Poseidon had already killed twice. In 2018, at a facility in Mexico, he was involved in the death of trainer Carlos Mendoza. The 27-year-old had slipped during a show, and Poseidon had pulled him under, holding him down for over 6 minutes. The second death occurred in 2021 at a park in Texas. Amanda Foster was found floating in Poseidon's tank after an overnight shift, her body showing catastrophic injuries. Pacific Wonder claimed they hadn't been informed of these incidents, but internal emails proved they'd specifically sought out Poseidon because other facilities were desperate to get rid of him. They'd received a $3 million payment just to take him. Dr. Naomi Richards, a cetacean neurologist who examined Poseidon's brain scans, testified, "This animal showed severe temporal lobe damage consistent with chronic stress-induced psychosis. The areas of his brain responsible for impulse control had literally shrunk from decades of captivity." Pacific Wonder knew this. They had the scans. They put trainers in the water anyway. In the months leading up to November 7th, 2024, Poseidon's behavior had become increasingly erratic. Internal incident reports documented a pattern of aggression that should have triggered immediate safety reviews. On September 3rd, Poseidon had grabbed trainer Lisa Wang's ankle during a session, holding her underwater for 40 seconds. On September 28th, he'd rammed another trainer against the pool wall, causing a severe concussion. On October 15th, he'd begun what Maris described in her notes as tactical positioning, consistently maneuvering trainers away from exit ladders during sessions. Most disturbing was an email Maris had sent to management on October 22nd. Poseidon is exhibiting pre-attack indicators identical to those documented before previous incidents. His eye tracking has shifted from responsive to predatory. He's testing boundaries with increasing aggression. I'm recommending immediate suspension of all water work until we can conduct a full behavioral assessment. The response from CEO Richard Blackstone was brief. Your concerns are noted. Shows will continue as scheduled. Perhaps you need some time off if you're feeling overwhelmed. November 7th began with multiple warning signs. Poseidon had been spy hopping at the trainer platform all night, tracking security guards with what they described as unnatural focus. He'd refused his morning feeding, instead circling his pool in a pattern marine biologists recognize as hunting behavior. The overnight team had logged 17 separate aggressive displays between midnight and 6 a.m. Dr. Mitchell Hayes, the park veterinarian, arrived at 5:30 a.m. specifically to assess Poseidon. His report, filed at 6:45 a.m., was unequivocal. Poseidon displaying acute aggression indicators. Cancel all human interaction immediately. This is a medical emergency. That report was read by 3 executives who were in the middle of planning Pacific Wonder's holiday season schedule. The park had already sold out their Magical Christmas with the Orcas shows, premium-priced events that would generate over $4 million in revenue. Canceling would mean massive refunds and damaged reputation. The decision was made in a 7-minute conference call. Shows would proceed. Dr. Hayes was told to recalibrate his assessment. At 8:30 a.m., Maris entered the trainer-ready area. Security footage shows her reading the overnight logs, her expression growing increasingly concerned with each page. She made 3 phone calls, one to management requesting the day's sessions be moved to dry work only, one to her colleague asking if anyone else could take the water work, and one to her husband that lasted 12 minutes. Her husband later testified that she'd said, "Something's wrong with Poseidon. Really wrong. If anything happens, know that I tried to stop it." The morning session was scheduled for 9 a.m., a training period before the public shows where trainers worked on new behaviors. Only staff members were present, about 15 people total. Maris entered the pool area wearing her black wetsuit, her movement captured by multiple cameras showing obvious reluctance. She spent 5 minutes on the platform, running through hand signals with Poseidon from dry land. His responses were sluggish, distracted. His attention kept drifting to her position relative to the water. At 9:07 a.m., despite every instinct telling her not to, Maris entered the water. She'd been directly ordered by management to complete the water training session or face immediate termination. The cameras show her taking a deep breath before sliding into the pool, her hands visibly trembling. For 2 minutes, everything seemed controlled. Poseidon responded to basic commands, maintained distance, appeared cooperative. But marine experts who analyzed the footage identified what Maris couldn't see from water level. Poseidon wasn't watching her hands. He was calculating angles, timing her breathing, positioning himself between her and the exit points. At 9:09 a.m. and 14 seconds, Poseidon made his move. He approached for what should have been a simple tactile interaction, where Maris would touch his rostrum as a bonding behavior. Instead, he accelerated at the last second, striking her with the force of a freight train. The impact broke 7 ribs instantly and ruptured her spleen. She was launched backward, slamming into the pool's edge before sliding underwater. What happened next was captured in horrifying detail by underwater cameras installed just months earlier. Poseidon didn't simply attack Maris. He executed what marine biologists call surplus killing behavior. He grabbed her by the torso, his teeth penetrating her wetsuit and flesh, then dove to the bottom of the 40-foot pool. He held her there for 90 seconds, then brought her to the surface just long enough for witnesses to see her still moving, still trying to escape, before pulling her down again. Emergency protocols activated but failed catastrophically. The acoustic recall signals that had cost the park $200,000 to install were useless. Poseidon had learned to ignore them months ago. The emergency nets couldn't be deployed because Poseidon kept Maris at the pool's center, out of range. Staff members stood helplessly on the platforms, watching their colleague fight for her life, while being systematically dismembered by a 13,000-pound predator. At 9:13 a.m., after 4 minutes of sustained attack, Poseidon finally released Maris. She floated to the surface, motionless, the water around her dark red. The dive team pulled her onto the medical platform where paramedics worked frantically to save her. She'd lost massive amounts of blood. Her left arm was nearly severed. Her spine was fractured in 4 places. But she was still alive, still conscious. According to paramedic Jennifer Walsh, Maris's last words were, "I told them. I told them he would do this." Maris died at 9:47 a.m. during emergency surgery at Vancouver General Hospital. The trauma surgeon would later testify that her injuries were incompatible with life, that no amount of medical intervention could have saved her once the attack began. If you're someone who believes people deserve to know the truth about what really happens behind the scenes at marine entertainment facilities, then you need to subscribe to this channel right now. What I'm about to reveal about the corporate cover-up that enabled this tragedy has been hidden by Pacific Wonder's legal team for over a year. Hit that subscribe button because the information we're sharing could prevent future tragedies and save lives. Pacific Wonder's response was immediate and calculated. Within an hour, they'd locked down all footage, confiscated employee phones, and begun threatening staff with lawsuits if they spoke publicly. Their first statement blamed Maris for failing to follow established protocols, actually accusing her of causing her own death while her husband was still at the hospital. But the truth emerged during investigation. Emails showed executives had been warned 93 times about Poseidon's escalating aggression. They'd calculated that the maximum lawsuit payout for a trainer death would be $50 million versus the $100 million Poseidon generated annually in revenue and breeding value. They'd literally decided Maris's life was acceptable collateral damage. The investigation revealed that Pacific Wonder had been drugging Poseidon with a cocktail of antipsychotics and sedatives to control his aggression. The drugs hadn't calmed him. They'd made him unpredictable, prone to sudden violent episodes that couldn't be anticipated. When Poseidon was finally examined by independent veterinarians, they found brain lesions, organ damage, and teeth worn to the gums from chewing on concrete in psychological distress. 6 months later, Pacific Wonder closed permanently after criminal charges were filed against 5 executives. Poseidon was euthanized in a procedure that required massive doses of sedatives because his body had built up resistance from years of drugging. The necropsy revealed a brain so damaged by captivity that researchers said it looked like that of a human with severe dementia, incapable of normal function, driven only by confusion and rage. Maris's death forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about entertainment built on animal exploitation. But her story shouldn't end with fear. It should end with understanding. Tell your children, tell everyone you know, not just about the danger, but about the fundamental delusion, about the difference between appreciation and exploitation, about what happens when we mistake submission for friendship and performance for genuine connection. Because Maris Ellington wasn't naive. She was highly educated, experienced, and genuinely believed science could make captivity humane. She thought her expertise could override millions of years of evolution, that her understanding could heal what confinement had broken. The world never taught her that intelligence isn't enough when dealing with an apex predator driven insane by decades of psychological torture. Her knowledge couldn't fix what captivity had destroyed. Her expertise couldn't predict behavior in an animal whose mind had been shattered by confinement. So share this story not for shock value, but because somewhere right now, another young marine biologist believes they can make captivity better, safer, more humane. They need to know that there's no humane way to keep an animal that swims 100 miles a day in a concrete pool. They need to understand that the only ethical relationship with wild animals is one that respects their wildness. If you know someone who dreams of working with marine mammals, tell them Maris's story. Not to crush their dreams, but to redirect them toward conservation, research, and protection of wild populations. Explain that orcas in the wild live in complex matriarchal societies, speak in dialects, pass down culture through generations. In captivity, they're reduced to traumatized performers, their minds broken, their instincts perverted into violence. Love for these animals means fighting for their freedom, not participating in their imprisonment. It means watching them from boats, not bleachers. It means studying their language, not teaching them tricks. It means respecting them enough to leave them where they belong. Maris's family established a foundation that funds research on wild orcas and works to end captivity worldwide. They want people to know that every ticket purchased enables this cycle. The real way to honor Maris isn't to fear these animals. It's to respect them enough to let them be wild. Remember Maris's name, but more importantly, remember what her death teaches. Wild animals aren't entertainment. They're not our friends to make or bonds to form. They're magnificent beings that deserve to exist on their own terms, in their own world, following patterns older than human civilization. The moment we forget that, the moment we believe our knowledge can tame them, we sign our own death warrant. Maris learned this too late. You don't have to.